Hi everyone, Jewel here with the tropical update for Dorian, Hurricane Dorian, this afternoon on Labor Day, the second day of September 2019. Please, if you haven't subscribed, please do so. Click subscribe, click the bell to make sure you get all the latest information that you need to know to keep yourself safe in all weather kind of conditions, including hurricane season hurricanes and tropical storms. I would greatly appreciate it. We're looking at one of the latest floater models right here, and what's going on? Well, it seems that Dorian remains quite the symmetric and still inhibits very well-defined eye in this hurricane that is going on right now. Dorian does have a well-defined eye, as we've all seen, but there is somewhat less evidence of a concentric eye walls in the Bahamas radar imagery that's showing up at this time. Now, it's looking like as Dorian moves very slowly during the next 24 hours, some upwelling in the deeper waters around the Bahamas could cause some gradual weakening. And after that, the hurricane is expected to experience a gradual increase in wind shear, southwesterly shear, which should lead to a slow decrease in the wind speed. However, though, Dorian is forecast to remain a very powerful hurricane while it moves near to the southeastern United States coast. Now, as anticipated, the ridge to the north of the storm is weakened, and the eye of Dorian has only been inching westward this morning, as we know. Slow, slow, slow. Now, the hurricane is expected to keep drifting westward or west-northwestward over the next 24 hours. Now, that's going to cause a prolonged period of devastating winds and storm surge over the Grand Bahama Island, and by late tomorrow, the weakness in the ridge becomes more pronounced, and Dorian should start to take that turn northwestward near the east coast of Florida. Now, by day 3, the hurricane is expected to make a northeastward turn ahead of a broad mid-latitude trough. So, I mean, everybody, I cannot stress enough that only a small deviation to the left or the right. Now, if it's a small deviation to the left, it could bring the core extremely onshore, close to onshore Florida, East Coast areas, the onshore of the Florida East Coast, within the hurricane warning area, which we'll get to all of that in a moment. But if you're in that hurricane warning area, please keep abreast. Everybody keep abreast. But if you're in that area, we got to make sure that there's no deviation to the left whatsoever, or you're going to get a whole lot more than what you've been thinking. Now, in addition, Dorian's wind field is predicted to expand, and that would bring hurricane-force winds closer to the east coast of Florida, even if the track does not change. That's important, okay? Now, I did a little work, and I've done a little research, and how big is this storm exactly? It's about anywhere from 207 to 208 miles wide. So, if you're on the Florida coast or any of the coasts as we watch this, of course the size will decrease, hopefully anyway, as it starts to move northward. More than likely you can judge about what you're going to get. And when you look at this picture here, you can already see that some rain bands are starting to come inland, as well as some wind gusts as far over as Lake Okeechobee, maybe up to Sebring. Nothing big time at all. Don't mean it that way. I'm just talking you might start to feel a little wind to start, or you might be picking up some rain bands. Nothing drastic at this time for that area over in here. But on the coast here, you're probably beginning to feel a whole lot more than you have. Now, within 24 hours, within 24 hours, this is from the coordinates from the National Hurricane Center, winds of 150 miles are still in Hurricane Dorian. It should be at 27.2 north, 71.1 west with 150 mile per hour winds in the eye, and it should be somewhere around in this area. give or take a little deviation here or there. I mean, you know, that much don't matter. So I would say anywhere from Port St. Lucie all the way up into this area around Melbourne, Palm Bay, Vero Beach, Fort Pierce. This is within 24 hours. As we move along, let's see if we can get this map to come up right quick. Come on and load. Here we go. Okay, now we are up to 36 hours. 36 hours. And, no, I'm sorry, I got the wrong map. This is 72 hours. 72 hours from now, it should have winds of 110 miles per hour. And you can see right now it's moved up some. It took that turn and it's moved up. This is 72 hours from right now. And Savannah and Charleston, South Carolina, it should be sitting right off you guys' coast, right in here. Now, as we move on up some, let me see, I don't know what happened to my other map. Let me get back here. Here we go. The last coordinates, I put it up around me. I didn't do all the coordinates, I'm just giving you a general idea. I don't want to make this video too long, but to give you a general idea of where it will be. This is in 96 hours. 96 hours from now. That's putting it about Wednesday night, Thursday night, Friday morning, somewhere in that area. It's going to be coming up. It should be right off the coast here, and it should have 100 mile per hour winds in it at that time. Now here we have the tracking map. As you can see, we do have the hurricane warnings up around the Florida eastern coastline. Tropical storm warning way down at the bottom down here. Still, hurricane warnings out for the Bahamas and the islands of the Bahamas altogether. Now, as it moves up, it should turn into a hurricane with these winds like I just told you when I showed you these places, okay? And remain a hurricane until finally it does get off of my coast. Now, I know a lot of people up here is wondering, what's going on? We're in this cone, a little bit of Long Island, Connecticut, Rhode Island, and Massachusetts. At this time, I think you guys will have high rip currents. You could get a little beach erosion. We've got to wait and see. It hadn't got to the coast of Florida yet, but this is just what it's looking like as of now. You could have a little beach erosion. I wouldn't advise anybody to go swimming in the waters because your rip currents are going to be off the chain. They're already off the chain here, and as a matter of fact, day before yesterday, we've already had somebody die out in a rip current from this storm. The rip currents all up and down the North Carolina, South Carolina, and Georgia coast are very, very high. Do not be fooled and don't go in the water, okay? Now, as we look at this map, you can see this cone goes way into Florida here and up into Georgia and to South Carolina. And if you remember the picture I showed you with the National Hurricane Coordinates a while ago, it was going to be hanging off this coastline right in here, and it would have passed somewhere up into Savannah and hanging around this part of South Carolina in just a few days. So I hope everybody's prepared. I'm in the process of doing that now myself. Now, I want to remind everyone, as you look at this map, things that's going on. We got a prolonged period of catastrophic winds and storm surge. It's going to continue to affect our friends at the Grand Bahama Island through today and tonight, and everyone there should remain in shelter and not venture into the eye. I've seen some reports, I've seen some video. One child drowned that we do know of, and his sister cannot be found right now. It is just pitiful on the Bahama Islands right now. I don't know another word to say. Please keep them in your prayers. Okay, life-threatening storm surge, dangerous hurricane-force winds. They're expected along portions of the Florida East Coast and Georgia coast, regardless of the exact track of Dorian's center. So, excuse me, it doesn't matter if it takes that turn when we think it is or not. This is still going to happen. The turn will happen eventually. But if it's not when it looks like it's going to right now, this is what it is. It's regardless of the track of Dorian's center. Hurricane force winds are expected along portions of the Florida East Coast and Georgia coast. Now, water levels could begin to rise well in advance of the arrival of the stronger winds. Now, residents in these areas, follow the advice given by your local emergency officials. The risk of life-threatening storm surge and hurricane-force winds continue to increase along the coast of South Carolina and North Carolina. Residents in these areas should follow the same advice of your local emergency officials, and I'm already preparing. The rain's going to be heavy downpours wherever this thing skirts by, from probably Virginia Beach all the way down to Georgia once it leaves Florida. Heavy rains. We'll get into that. And these rains, I'm not talking a little rain. I'm talking a lot, folks, capable of producing life-threatening flash flooding. And that is expected over the northern portions of the Bahamas today. Also, it is expected in coastal sections of the southeast and lower mid-Atlantic regions of the United States through Friday. So you know what that means. That means all of us right in here, we're going to be getting much rain. While we're talking about rain, let's go ahead and look what the National Hurricane Center is forecasting at this moment. Remember how I told you this map was going to change? Well, look here. Remember how the purple was just strung out here? Look in here. But this is out in the ocean. Thank the good Lord. This is like 15 to 20 inches of rain. Looking like the east coast of Florida. You got a good 6 to 10 inches of rain on the way. And that goes right up on the very coastline of Georgia. I mean the coastline, but then it's a little more inland when you get up to South Carolina. And when you get up to me, I live right out in here, I got 6 to 10 inches of rain on the way, according to this chart. It's a little less on the inland, like over by Lake Okeechobee. That's like 2 to 4 inches, and maybe 50 miles north of there going on up into Georgia. You can see right in here, this is like 4 to 6 inches where it's yellow, and it's 2 to 4 where it's a darker green. So this is what the rain's looking like. If you're in any of the red, orange, or yellow, you really need to pay attention. Now when it starts to get green, that's like 2 to 4 and 1 to 2. But once again, if you live anywhere on this map where it's yellow, orange, or red, you can expect a lot of rain coming your way. Now this is just for the next 3 days, including today. So today through Wednesday, the greatest chances of where flash flooding risk could occur. Okay? The highest amount is in South Carolina, from the Georgia border right on up in this little area. That's the highest amount for the chance of flash flooding that can catch you off guard. You need to pay attention. It's a slight risk from down around Wilmington, North Carolina, right in here through the entire Florida coast, and it's just a marginal area for the other areas, as you can see. But this area of South Carolina, please be aware of this. You could have some flash flooding with the rain falling, sneaking up on you that you're not expecting. Now here we go with the storm surge, and they've got it plastered all up here. You need to know this is just for 3 days. Beyond Wednesday, it does not count when it gets closer up in these areas. And see, it's already got it up here for me and down here, but it's more accurate for the next 3 days. What you need to look at, this is mostly for Florida and Georgia and maybe South Carolina, but we'll blow it up a little bit. I don't know why they make it so little anyway, but here we go. If it's yellow, I'll show you the key right here. If it's yellow, it's more than 3 feet above ground. If it's blue, it's more than 1 feet above ground. And if it's orange, it's more than 6 feet above ground. I think hopefully we will see the yellows and the blues. I'm thinking probably 3 to 5, but some places are saying a whole lot more. We're going to get to that in a moment. This is just a general idea to give you what's going on, okay? You can see what's happening here. We'll come on down. You see the little spots. I don't want to make it too big. It'll take too long to bring it back down. But it goes all the way up the east coast, all the way up to Jacksonville. And then when we get into Georgia, All of this is going to be a good spot for a lot of storm surge, wherever you see the yellow, especially up around just north of Savannah. And Charleston, South Carolina will have some, but not quite as much. I don't want to go any further out because this is plainly for 3 days, but you can see it should be happening. Now, storm surge warning. Storm surge warning in effect for Latana to Flagler to Volusia County line. Storm surge watch in effect for north of Deerfield Beach to south of Latana, Flagler, and Volusia County line to the Savannah River. Hurricane warning still in effect for the Grand Bahama and the Abacus Islands and the northwestern Bahamas. Jupiter Inlet to Flagler, Volusia County line. Hurricane warning. Hurricane watch in effect for north of Deerfield Beach to Jupiter Inlet, Flagler, and Volusia County line to the Atmaha. I know I probably said that wrong. Altamaha. There you go. Sound in Georgia. You know, if you live there, you know how to pronounce it. Also, we got a tropical storm warning that's in effect for north of Deerfield Beach to Jupiter Inlet. Tropical storm watch in effect for north of Golden Beach to Deerfield Beach. And also a tropical storm watch for Lake Okeechobee. Now, the storm surge warning. What does that exactly mean? Danger of life-threatening inundation from rising waters moving inland from the coastline during the next 36 hours in the indicated locations for the depiction of the areas at risk. I've showed you that already. Now, this is a life-threatening situation. Persons located within these areas should take all necessary actions to protect life and property from rising water and the potential of dangerous conditions. Promptly follow evacuation and other instructions from local officials. And the storm surge watch, it's the very same thing, except you have more time. Instead of 36 hours, it's 48 hours. Now, we'll move on down right quickly here. I'm not going to go through all this right now. I'm going to check something else out. Your hazards that you do need to know. It's looking like the hurricane conditions are expected within the hurricane warning area in Florida by late tonight or tomorrow. Be aware, this is important. Hurricane conditions are possible in the hurricane watch areas by Wednesday. And the tropical storm conditions are expected to be in the areas by today or tomorrow and are possible in tropical storm watch areas by tonight. Now, storm surge, life-threatening storm surge will raise water levels by as much as 18 to 23 feet above normal tide levels in areas of onshore winds around Grand Bahama Island. Now, near the coast, the surge will be accompanied by large and destructive waves. Everybody in the Bahamas still, bless their hearts, you cannot let your guard down. Now, it's looking like that Latana to the Savannah River storm surge could be 4 to 7 feet. It's looking like north of Deerfield Beach to Latana, 2 to 4 feet. The water levels could begin to rise well in advance of the arrival of stronger winds. The surge will be accompanied by large and destructive waves. Surge-related flooding depends on how close, of course, as we all know, the center of Dorian comes to the coast, and it can vary greatly over short distances. Now, rainfall. Dorian's expected to produce the following rainfall totals through this week, okay? Northwestern Bahamas 12 to 24 with an isolated 30. Central Bahamas 1 to 3, isolated storm totals of 6. Coastal Carolinas, North and South Carolina 5 to 10 inches with isolated 15 inches of rain. Atlantic coast from Florida Peninsula through Georgia 4 to 8 inches with an isolated 10. We know the surf's going to be up. We know there's going to be beach erosion. We know there's going to be flooding. For all my friends down around Avon, Rodanthe, all you guys down on the lower of the Outer Banks chain, forget Highway 12. It's probably going to flood out. So you guys be like me. Go ahead, get what you need right now, and start preparing, okay? So this is what the watches and warnings are looking like right now, what everybody should be preparing for, because it's looking like it's very well going to happen.